Okay, folks, good morning. Saturday morning here, and here's something you don't see every day. We've got sheer chaos here on the paint table. The paint table's turned into a workshop. So yesterday evening, I had a chance to do some hobby stuff, and it was just too late to get started on the 15s. Even though the 15s have now, let me show you what we got here. We've got the Saloy that we finished the other day, completely on the. Well, that's not going to come out well. We're shooting into the light. Let's bring them over here. We got the two stands of Saloy that got done here for the Hungarians. Oh, wrong two. These are, well, that is a Saloy, but here's the other one. There we go. We did one originally, and there's the two on the back. It's the two on the back with the little helmets with the peep-through holes that are done. So now the only thing we got left is the two stands of the war wagons and the other nights if I feel like doing them. So we've got the stuff that we're working on. It's over. See if I can succeed in doing this without pulling this off. Got these figures here, and one of the two war wagons is over here. That's what we got left, two stands of war wagons. It's very difficult for me to start the 15s in the mornings. So I've been trying to do the modeling or the vehicles in the evenings. Gives me a little change for something different. And leave the 15s in the morning. Well, I only have about an hour and 15 minutes this morning. So we're not going to start doing the cruise on the war wagons. We're going to go back and talk about where we left off here. So yesterday, I ran into kind of a little crisis. And the only reason I'm kind of bringing this up to show you that people that are even experienced in the hobby, and I don't really consider myself the most experienced person, but I have been doing this a while. So those of us that are experienced in the hobby still encounter issues. And just kind of show you, sometimes you just got to, as it go, give it a stiff upper lip and move on. But I've been working on my T-34s. I've got a couple of my vehicles here. The BTs, we're going to do all the Russians. These are the BT-7 and the BA-6 armored car. And I'm going to go through all these kits that I've been doing for a while, that I've had for a while, that have been sitting idle. And if you guys have been watching, I finished a couple T-34s. And here is the bottom of it. And it was, I consider myself a really patient person. These rubber band tracks made me want to hurl it at somebody. Now, the funny thing is the last time I built a T-34 was one of these, okay? And this was probably in the late 90s. And this is separate link track. And I remember hating the living hell out of this. But you just have to be kind of patient with it. And but this one, the problem with these rubber band tracks, other than them looking unrealistic, is that the rubber bands are too small for the distance here between the wheels. So what happens is you have to try to stretch this rubber band track out, so when you put it around these wheels, you don't crush them and pop all these wheels off. And I had to go back and forth and do that so many times. And you can see they're still kind of dancing up here above it. So I tried to drill some holes in here because I figured, okay, this is going to be pretty covered. I'm going to drill some holes here in the top, and I'll take some string and I'll run it through behind this and tie it up here and pull it back up. And the problem is the hole, it's because this is rubber, it self-seals, and I can't get the string through. It was just a nightmare. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I may just end up not using the bottom of this because look, this is just kind of dancing. The tank looks nice. The rubber band's nice. Now the rubber band really ruins the appearance of it really would like it to, and I can't really glue this because it's got too much rubber to it. And what I'd be looking at is trying to glue it like this. Once, see, if you've got something that's glued up against the wheels, it actually would look okay. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So what did I do? I ended up punting and kept moving. I don't want to get stuck, and that's what's happened to me in the past. I've run into a problem and just said, well, I don't know what to do. Let me go buy another kit. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. We're going to keep the momentum going. So I built the other T-34, which is around here. Both of these are things that I've had I got them like 20 years ago. I bought them off eBay, and I think I got two. And where's the other hole? Here it is. So I tried making a separate link track on this other one, the rubber band track, and I tried, following what they say. You pour hot water on it. So I did that, and it didn't budge. And I pulled on it, and that didn't budge. And I put it between the what do you call those things? The helping hands, so like the two alligator clamps, held it tight, poured boiling water on it. It didn't budge. I finally said, F it. I used a hair dryer. That didn't work. It didn't budge at all. So I threw this in some boiling water and pulled it out, and then it shrank it. So it made the situation even worse. You can see it's kind of crimped here like this on one side. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So I said, okay, well, let's just keep moving forward because we're going to work on all our Russians. So I pulled out this is my, don't get it discouraged, folks. I pulled out an old T-34-85 that I had. This is an AER kit. Okay, this was probably built in the late 90s. And it was painted in this kind of style by myself. It was green, and then I guess I got it really, really dusty. It almost looked really brown. But the problem is I could come up here and I could scrape the paint off. It had not adhered to the plastic so well. So I'm like, well, I don't mind repainting it, but the paint's kind of thick in a few places. I asked on the in the model forum what they used to remove paint, and I got a million different answers. And I had already gone to the local store and found this stuff right here. So I didn't want to mail order something and have some time to do it. I wanted to paint this T-34-85 this weekend, repaint it along with one of the T-34s as well. And I saw that they had this in the store. And I figured, hey, you guys know anything about this? And nobody, was at $6 or whatever. And nobody really could tell me anything about it. Only one person at the end said they'd used it and had good results. So I gave it a shot, and I got all kinds of answers, including go get this spray stuff and use oven cleaner. And then some people know the oven cleaner can eat the plastic. And then no, go buy this purple Power Plus or something at Walmart. Well, I'm not going to Walmart. And I had to go to the hobby store anyway. So I picked this stuff up and used it last night. And man, this stuff smells really strong. You apply it with a brush, and it turns the plastic almost into like gum, like you had taken gum and left it. So I ended up having to scrape some of the stuff off, but it does eat the plastic. I don't know if you can see here. And the problem is it was eating the plastic, and I had to do stuff like come up to the top of this hatch, this loader's hatch, and scrape some of this off because it was, anyways, I wanted to show you how rough this thing came out. But we will paint this thing this weekend, and I'm going to take some before and afters. And look, it's Russian construction. These guys did a lot of this stuff rough anyways. So I just wanted to show you how rough this thing is, because we're not going to be discouraged by that. But this was my early modeling, so like I don't know how the hell I had the patience to do the separate link track. So I ran into this issue last night, and I'm like, I am not putting these tanks down, damn it. Okay, I'll straighten this out because it was still kind of I couldn't paint it or do the base color on it yet. You see how it's kind of rough here? Well, that's rough because of the plastic's already been actually been eaten up, almost like this has got like acetone or something in it. Anyhow, so I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna have some fun with this thing then. So I took one of the fenders off, okay, because these things are just thin plastic anyways. Well, they're not on the kit, but they are in real life. These are a lot thicker than they would be in real life. But this is the separate link track, and I think it turned out pretty well considering I built this over 20 years ago, and I think I'm more patient now than I used to be. So you will see this guy get black based here shortly. So anyhow, T34. So we're gonna make it a little bit. I'm not gonna say muddier, but we're gonna make it look rough so that all this stuff is gonna all blend in. And it was missing a machine gun too, so I had to replace the machine gun. Anyhow, to be continued. So yeah, and I have a second one. I had two of them. So like in my kits, here's the running gear of another T34. So I don't know where the hell it is. I'll find it somewhere. But anyways, I'm not going to get discouraged. Keep going, folks. If things happen that you're not planning on, then just keep going. So then, since I'm doing Russians, I'm like, well, let's just keep going. I was in a building mood. I built all the running gear of this. This is a JSU 122, 152. You can build actually four. It comes with four different barrels. You can build. Let me get this focused on. Here we go. You can build four different kits from the one. And I hadn't built all the running gear, and the instructions are less than ideal. This piece, which is a side escape hatch that goes inside the running gear, there wasn't even a hole for it. This is a Ukrainian kit. I couldn't, the other day I was mentioning I didn't know what it was, but I actually went to it's this kit here. It doesn't even say what the hell this kit is. It tells you it's catalog number 5, but this is a company called PST, out of the Ukraine. The reason I found that is there is a website called On the Way. If you do an internet search for On the Way 172nd, it's kind of like the plastic soldier review for all the kits in this scale. And I found out what it was, and supposedly it's a good kit. They rate all the things on there and say, hey, this is a good one or this one isn't. But I did all the running gear, which was a bear to get off. Let's put it that way. And look, it's nice. It's got some underneath detailing, which is kind of unusual. Look, little holes and stuff. I don't know if they're accurate, but little covered spots. But the separate link track is really nice, and it came out okay. But it wasn't nearly as frustrating as the rubber band track, which is something I would have not said 20 years ago. I would have preferred to do rubber band track on everything. So I'm really looking forward to the point where all of my vehicles are complete, because my goal is to get all these things complete that I've had for 20 years ago and painted. And then if I still feel the vehicle thing, I'll buy more, but I'm gonna buy the ones that are ready to do, because what I really wanted to do is paint, not build. So anyhow, so what we're going to do this morning is, so I did the separate link. I haven't messed with this in 20 years or whatever. And I did this yesterday, and I think it turned out really well. And it was actually not frustrating at all. So that's what we're going to do this morning, is we're going to put this other thing, because this is pretty solid. I want to get this together, and that way I can paint this one with the T3485 together. Okay, so with that said, we will, oop, man, why isn't this thing flexing? Maybe we need this to flex. Yeah, that's what it is. And here I am. All right. That was my encouragement, folks. Just stay with it. It's just going to go wrong, man. You'll see these guys, I call them wizards. I'm sure they encounter crap that happens to them, but you don't get to see it. You think they're perfect and everything. As a modeler, as a painter, you're going to encounter stuff. You're going to see places where maybe you cut the corner. Now, here's the remaining fender here. You had to cut corners, and the people think you don't make any mistakes, but people think your shit doesn't stink, but you know, that was my morning ramble. So, anyhow, don't be discouraged. All right, so how do we go about this? Well, first thing is, these are two different sides, and I built this one, so we're going to go to this one. So I cut all the pieces out. All right. So let's go ahead and fold this thing out so we don't get confused. Okay. Is there a mirror image of each other? And I actually had to add an extra link than it said I needed on there. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing to cooperate. Okay. All right. So the very first thing is we're going to need a pair of D1s. So anyways, this paint remover, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you guys getting it because you have to. It might have not eaten the plastic, but it was really messy, and it turned all this stuff into basically a gum. And I did buy a pair of nips yesterday at the store, but I'm not really happy with them. They're kind of big. They're kind of chunky. They smell funny. I know that sounds strange, but they're in some kind of a... I didn't want to order a set from Amazon. You could get one. You can go from Amazon and get one of these sets that comes with, and what I'm talking about is one of these. Okay? But I'm like, well, let me buy it from a local store. Still made in China. And not only that, it says, this product can expose you to chemicals including phthalates, which is known to the state of California, that doesn't mean anything to me, it is California, to cause cancer and birth defects or other reproductive harm. For more information, go to p65warningca.gov. Well, I didn't go there, but I'm like, I don't know what these Fruit Loops are talking about. So I pull these things out, and these things smell. They have like almost like the, I don't know. They smell funny. So I don't know if I'm going to use them again. They weren't expensive, but I wasn't going to order them on Amazon, so I wanted to buy local, but I still ended up getting a Chinese piece of crap. So there needs to be they need to make a website where you can buy things that aren't made in China. Notice I didn't say made in the USA. I'm fine getting things in other places that are not communist China, and I should specify communist China. If it was Taiwan, I'd be perfectly fine with it, but one of my things is I go out of my way to, especially with the current situation, I go out of my way not to buy things made in totalitarian places. So I'm fine, Philippines, anywhere else. It's got nothing to do with them being Chinese. So just like I wouldn't want to buy North Korean products. So it's very difficult sometimes to, I'm willing to pay more, but they just don't have the product sometimes. So I think we're going to exchange this, and I may order a name brand nip thing that doesn't smell funny. I might order one of the Tamiya ones, even though they're like $25 as opposed to $9. It smells funny. It really does. And like when you buy one of those toys at the dollar store, or somebody gives you one of those things and it smells like, what are you guys using in this thing, So anyhow, okay, so we got a pair of D1s, and that's as current events as I'm going to get today. Hey, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. So just like when I see something on the internet I don't like, okay, I'll just go on to something else. Okay, here's the D2s. There's 3 of them. And there's a crap load of D3s, which are these little ones. And I don't know exactly how many I need right off the bat. The count was off the other time. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to say at least 15 of these guys. Now, after being out of this modeling for a while, the first thing I noticed is these things these parts don't weigh. It's better this way because it's closer to the thing underneath. These parts fly because they don't weigh anything. And I really was out of the habit of like clearing something and like blowing, and all of a sudden like one of the pieces goes flying. And let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5 more. We got plenty. They gave me extra ones. So what I did is, I don't know if I saw this or I had a revelation or something, but I decided to build this. I built it here. I pre-built it on this piece of cardboard. And then after it was almost all built, I put it on here and then tacked it like, almost like I was welding it. So, well, it's weld cement. I tack welded it on here. So that actually worked really well. So this should work unless I have a heart attack in the process or something like that. I have proven I built the other one last night. So, oh man. 2. Yeah, I don't consider myself a rebel. I never really have been. But when somebody says I can't say something or do something, just on principle, I like to revolt against that. So, especially when I'm not doing anything wrong. Enough about that. Drink coffee, get angry. Oh man, this is all good. So this does take a while. It would be a lot more efficient, I think, if I had to do this again. They make ones that the tracks are already put together. They already have the road wheels on there. They already have the tire tracks on there. They're already put together in both places with everything on there. They already have the slack on the track is on there, so it should paint up nicely, that sort of thing. So, okay. And you want to do all this ahead of time because, with this weld cement, you do have some flexibility with it. It kind of, it stays pliable for a little while. And you don't want to go in between the 2 steps. I don't want to build a few and then go back and cut these pieces off, because that would allow these to harden enough, and then I wouldn't be able to flex them like I need to. So I don't want that to happen. These are not molded very well. You know, you could tell at the ends of these tracks. And this may actually not be perfect. And what I may do at the end is when this is hard, like for instance, there's a couple here that stick out farther than they need to. So I'm going to come in after these are nice and solid and just cut the ends off. But it's like only a few. But you can see these are molded and the edge of the molding isn't flush. It kind of actually is thicker here at the end. It's just like a molding issue. I'm not going to go in here and go, okay, well, let's scrape that even. I mean, come on. There's only so much time I'm willing to do that on. So that's time I could be painting. I like to take my time on the painting part. So none of this is going to be noticeable. But see, now I told you about it, so you're going to be looking for it. Yeah, that's one of those things that as a creator, as a painter, you're the one doing all the work. You know where you took the shortcuts. You know where the mistakes are. So you'll see somebody else's work and be like, man, that looks perfect. No, there's mistakes in there. You just don't know where the hell they are. You know, we all make mistakes, unfortunately. So yeah, I bought those pair of nips. I've always used X-Acto blades to cut the edge. I'm like, man, maybe there's a better way. What is this thing about these nips? Well, let me use one of these coupons and use because this store called Hobby Lobby. That's the only hobby store we have in town. The day of hobby stores is, at least in this town, are over. There's very few that have things that in the last 20 years that they pretty much died out anyways. A lot of them, if they did have stuff, they're mostly radio controlled stuff, and that's a money sink. And I never got into that stuff. So I looked up the other day, since I've been out of this stuff for so many years, hobby stores in Florida, you know, that might have like model kits or something. Nope, there really aren't any. So not any here. So the only place I can go to is Hobby Lobby, which has some hobby things. So okay, see, I just blew and they went everywhere. These lightweight things, I tell you. Okay, so this is one of these is going to be the top. Okay, the other one is going to be, and you need to make sure these are running the correct way because there's a track pattern. You need to make sure we get this right. There's a track pattern like this. It's got to be the same on both. So this track pattern is like this. So it matches. Okay. Which means I'm going to flip it this way. All right. Now here's the top for it. And we're building this one. So we have a big piece next. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here. And then we have another D2. And then 2 D3s here. Up till you get to this main piece. So you've got this that loops up to get to this spot here on this one. And then here we have a D3. And then a D2. And then the rest of them loop around to come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to say that's 7. And I may be off by 1 like I was on the other one. I had to add an extra one. I've got plenty of extras. I've got this many and this many again, plus these two. Plus these two. So that's extra track we can use to put in little armored places on the vehicle when we've decided that that's how we want to do it. So, Marcin, good morning. Do you have special paint for priming figures, or you just use regular paint? When I prime with black, I need 3 layers I need 3 layer of color, red, yellow, to cover painted surface. Any advice? So for the longest time, and I'm not going to say I know how durable it is because I don't know how durable it is. But for the longest time, I used, well, I don't have it anymore. I think I threw it away. The paint I used to use is by this company called Model Master Acryl, and it's an acrylic paint, and it was black, and it's a little thicker than Vallejo. It holds a lot better. It's almost is elastic. Okay, when it dries, it gets elastic. So you want to clean your brushes. So I used to do that in black, and because it was locally available, that's the other thing is with paint, you got to make sure you're using something that when you run out, there's more to get. You don't want to mail order paint. But Model Master Acryl black, and they stopped carrying that, and then they just had semi-gloss black. So then I used that, and then what was happening is the Model Master tops. Whoever designed this is a terrible designer because it doesn't take very many times of opening this, and then you can't open it again. Like this is like sealed shut. Like it's very difficult to open, and sometimes it doesn't close well enough, and it dries out, and I mean, look what I've had to do with this thing to try to get this thing open. I had to get the local bulldog to give me a hand and open this thing up because this thing wouldn't, budge. So that's the problem with Model Master is it it doesn't have a good lid. Model Master in the last 20 years got bought out by Rust-Oleum. And that happening, they discontinued a lot of their product lines. Model Master for the longest time, this was kind of like the deluxe. I want to put this down and keep plugging away. This was the, no, I can't do that. I'm not a multitasker. This is this was, Model Master was like the deluxe brand of the Testers brand. So the Model Master stuff came out in, I want to say late 80s, and it was a lot less goopy than regular Testers. And maybe about 1990, 1991, they came, I know this because I used to work at a hobby store during that time. They came out with this acryl line. So this was acrylics. Everything kind of started going to acrylics. And it's pretty good paint, but it dries weird. Like if you go and open this, when you open the bottle, it gets elastic, and I can't show you because I threw away the last one. Anyways, the last two dried on me. So then I started using Model Master Enamel Black, and I would prime the figures in that. And it worked fine because you could reactivate it. You could put mineral spirits, and if it started drying up, you could bring it up to speed, and it didn't need to be perfect, and you could thin it down with enamel, and because you don't want it to be really goopy on the detail, you'll cover up the stuff you're trying to do. And I got tired of all that fighting with stuff, so I just went to using this Vallejo Surface Primer. And this stuff is amazing. I've talked about this in other videos. It's it seems very, very watery. It supposedly has polyurethane or something in it. Uh, you've got to mix it really well, but I mean, it's not like you can't shake it by hand. But it brushes on, and it's thin, almost like an enamel. So it goes everywhere. It's really amazing stuff. But I don't know how durable it is, and I'm not going to test it because, the last couple things, like all my Hungarians are done with that. So I think it's okay. I've been really happy with it. I've been very happy with it. It was expensive. This was $20 US for this whole thing. But it is a huge amount. So that's what I've been using lately. But it was mainly because the Model Master stuff, I couldn't deal with the closing the lid anymore. And you'd make a mess every time you'd open it. You'd make a mess, and I'm pretty careful. And when you're careful and you make a mess, something's wrong. You know. So that's why I went away from using the Model Master. And this has no smell at all. This polyurethane stuff. So I've been really happy with it. They do make it in different colors. I know someone who they couldn't find black, so they ended up getting like a light gray. I think they make a light gray, a white, And I was searching around the other day, and they actually make it in some, well, I don't know if they make it in other colors, but they do make it in Dunkelgelb, which is, as we used to call, armor dark yellow for the Panzer forces after February 43, which I found out there was actually multiple colors of Dunkelgelb. So there's one that's like a really ugly mustard yellow. Well, in my opinion, it's ugly. Ugly mustard yellow. That one was apparently the early one that was done, and there was like two or three other shades. I found that out this week. Hey, I'm still learning things about World War II, and I thought I learned everything 20 years ago. But but they do make it in other stuff. For me, I was gonna base in black, because if I have some tiny little pinhole in the bottom back somewhere, it's invisible, you know. And I paint with so many layers anyways that it's not a problem getting the coverage. So I'm really happy with that stuff. Now I don't know how durable it is. I'm sure it's not as durable as the Model Master, but anyhow, I've been very happy with that. Hi Tony, I'll be able to watch until lights out. Wow, individual links. That's hardcore. It's not that bad. Oh, so one thing I forgot to mention was talking about the T-34s. So somebody said, hey, you know, they make separate link packs you can buy of just the T-34 tracks, and they're more accurate and everything, but they're resin. And I'm like, I can't deal with a rubber band track. I'm certainly not going to be able to deal with a resin, okay? Because you can't do what I'm about to do with here with the resin. So I'm like, I don't want to get into that. And I also don't want to spend, the resin tracks cost more than a new kit. How about I just throw the running gear away and just buy a Plastic Soldier Company, a couple of T-34s, and use their running gear that's like boom boom one piece. So I'm kind of punting on that. I'm kind of ignoring the fact that I built these two T-34s. By the time I'm done building these, painting these other two tanks, I'll come up with an answer that works for me. So I don't have all the answers now, folks. Ian, good morning. White primers give a different effect to black. Convert very well, especially for skin tones in 28. If your pigment is thin and a poor quality paint, black could change its tone. I love Vallejo. Yeah, I know. I remember the first primer I ever used was this stuff that came in a spray can by a company called Flocal Poly S. And I'm going to say something, and I'm going to sound like a drug user. And it smelled good. No, it did. I mean, there's some, I've said this before. I don't understand. I mean, I've worked with model glue my whole life. Well, I haven't in many years, and yes, it has a smell, but why would you get high? Do you have no beer in your house? But, but, sometimes something has a smell that smells good, and sometimes it has, even though it's something you shouldn't be smelling, and sometimes it has a smell that it's something you shouldn't be smelling and smells bad. All right, so what we're going to do is, this has one little link here by itself, okay? So we're going to put it on both ends, and because it's not going to stick to this cardboard, I can just hold this and then push it up against it. And look, I got the wrong side, because these two things look so similar. There's the side. That's okay. Now I'm using the tweezers because what this is happening is this is getting soft, is softening this plastic, and you can get like your fingerprint on things, which isn't really that big of an issue for these tracks because they're going to be down in the dirt. You're not going to notice it, but it is an issue for your fingers that get stuck to it. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. We're just going to leave it there, and it's going to do its happy thing, and just dried paint or something. Okay, and then there's a D2 that goes next. These pieces look damn near the same. I think it's this one. Let's see. Nope, it was the other one. There we go. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. And if some of this liquid, because all this is like a softener, gets on this cardboard, no big deal. It's not sticking to this. This cardboard actually worked really well for an assembly area. Okay. Okay, we'll stick those two together. Then what we got? We got a ton of little loose ones. All right, let's go to the other side. Does that one fit? Yeah, that's the side. All right. So this seems really finicky. The nice thing is because I did it this way, by the time I'm done putting all these together, these have all softened enough that I can actually curl them around, and it wasn't much of an issue at all. Now, it wasn't that much of an issue on the other side. We'll see if this side behaves as well. But this is not my preference. My preference is to make it as easy to build as possible so I can spend all the time painting it. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got these 5, then this one, and then those 2. Okay, all right. So let's have at it. Let's make sure this is the side that goes in. No, it's not. It's this one. Correct. All right. But I've been pretty happy with the Vallejo surface primer. And I'm going to say I don't know how durable it is because the first time I painted something, I actually went when it was just black and I actually scratched it with my fingernail, and I was able to scratch the primer off. So I don't know how durable it is, but now I've put the primer and then I put a base coat of the color and then probably like 4 to 5 other shades on it. And then I seal it with gloss and then I seal it with flat. And then I brush paint the lacquer flat. So I got a lot of layers on there. Now I understand that if none of it adheres to the first bottom layer, then it's an issue, but I'm not going to scratch one of my figures and find out. Okay. So, so as far as I'm concerned, it's durable enough. So one of the thing I dislike the most is well, I don't like cleaning figures, but number 2 is priming them because I figure any knucklehead can do that. Priming figures is below my pay grade. Anyhow, it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to do something that I think does not take any creativity. And that's what I mean about pay grade. I think I want to focus on the things that I find creative, and that's not creative at all. It's like you're going to paint a black, okay, there's nothing to it. But the thing with that is that because you end up missing spots invariably when they pop, that surface primer, for whatever reason, none of it pops. I've never missed any spots on it. Or I miss very few. That was a huge difference between that and everything else. Why do? Put this one in backwards again? Nope, it's the correct way. It's so similar. And you could tell there's nice back detail on this part. Well, I don't know if you could tell from there, but there's nice detail here. But these single pieces have no detail on the back side. So, hey, it's going to be a wargaming kit. I'm not going to enter an IPMS thing with it. Which, by the way, I saw some people that enter IPMS stuff, and some of it, my opinion, doesn't look that good because they don't have any weathering on things. So, some stuff's amazing. As I like to say, it looks better than the real vehicle. But yeah, with the priming, the quicker I can get through that process, the more I can spend on painting. Because I don't know if you watched any of my videos, but I can tell you that I don't really complain about how long something takes to paint. I may be working on a knight or shield and be like, working on it for hours, and that doesn't bother me. That's enjoyable. But spending a lot of time of, doing something that shouldn't take as long as it's taking is quite annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I see 5 there. Okay, and then this one is like this side. Now, since then they make other kits that are already I think some that are even snap fit, but that have all the running gear. Everything by the Plastic Soldier Company is running gear, and I think Italieri. I always call it Italieri. I think it's actually Italeri. release some stuff in that are quick build as well with all the running gear. But you got to go on that On the Way website to find out, because sometimes there's different versions of different kits, and you end up getting one and it doesn't have the configuration you do. Before you spend money on it, you don't want to end up getting something with, you think has one kind of running gear and it has the damn rubber band tracks. The damn rubber band tracks. The other thing I thought about is talking about thinking outside the box. Once I find this other T-34 or 85, not glue the top of the bottom, and then I can just replace the hull and use it as a T-34. Because odds are I'm not going to use them together. But we'll see. I'm sure I'll come up with a right answer by the time I have to make it. Okay. So this is all done. On this other side it doesn't take that long. I mean, I think cutting the pieces off is actually worse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so we're going to do these 7, and then we'll be able to put it on. All right. Let's see. No new comments. Cool. But if I had to do this with, say, resin, I had the same type of process, but now the pieces are resin, so I can't use this weld cement, so it's not flexible. So what do? You got to get it right the first time? Yeah. I don't, and I love epoxy, but man, it's messy. And no. I'm not a model builder. And there's people that would probably be perfectly happy spending a lot of time building a model, but then want to paint it with spray paint. And I'm like, nah, I want to spend a lot of time painting it. I find that very enjoyable. This building is just a process. And this is a perfect example why I'm going to base my vehicles on a little base. It's going to be kind of minimalist, but because you can't have people picking this up and like pulling these tracks off in the middle of play. So you got to make it easier for them to pick it up by something else. So now I actually picked up 3 different model glues when I bought this Tamiya glue. The reason I've stuck with this Tamiya glue, even though it's not the best smelling one, because the other one's actually the one from California, is because this little applicator is really, really nice. So I think what's going to happen is when I run out of this stuff, I'm gonna pour the other stuff in the same container, because this container is this is the applicator brushes that's really, really nice. It's really small and precise. So that's what we're gonna do. And to be honest with you, one of the things I'm enjoying the most about building this stuff is I get to post stuff on different groups on Facebook. You know, I mean, those groups that already post stuff on Facebook, they're probably tired of me posting all my crap. You know, so it's kind of nice interacting with other folks. The bad thing is sometimes is you encounter people that on the other groups that you're not exposed to that, see, how can I put this? They're dicks. So anyhow, there's one guy, and I don't remember what his name is, and even if it was, I'm not going to tell you who it is. But somebody had made some kind of a comment about, it was about separate link tracks or rubber band tracks and how they didn't sit right, and the guy basically told him, well, that's because you did a shit job. And he really didn't. I mean, you looked at the model and there was nothing wrong with it, but the guy just had some kind of superiority complex. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that's. I mean, sure, I'm picky about stuff, but if you're happy with the paint job that you're doing, then that's good enough for me. You know, I mean, I don't have to like everything I see, but I also don't need to be negative and ruin somebody's therapy session. I certainly have strong opinions about things, but this should all be, this is my yoga, hobby is my yoga. So, anyhow, okay, so we've got everything built now. Okay, now don't prove me wrong. I told the good people on YouTube that did not stick. Don't make me look wrong. Okay, so this is not stuck to this. Whew. All right, so this is going to go here, and I'm not focused so much on. There's two parts here where it starts bending up. Okay, and it's basically where this big piece is. So that big piece base is runs on all this running gear here, and I'm not focused on gluing it to this because that's normally what the old me would have said. Oh, okay, well we'll just glue this big piece here. No, you want to assemble it here by itself and then put the pieces on there. So let's get this up a little bit in case that I end up blocking myself, which could very well happen. I'm not an expert. This is just stupid painter putting on models. Putting together models here. Okay. All right, so that one's going to go there, and that one's going to go about there. All right, so let's take this. That's how it's going to sit. And we're going to bend this up. And we're going to bend this around. See how it's had some time to set. Now, I mentioned I may be one link off because this is the instructions of how many links it said to put on there. But last night I noticed that it was not correct. Okay, so that fits about right there. Okay, and then we need to make sure that these fit into these tracks, kind of. Kind of because I'm not going to sharpen these little things and put them in the little holes if they don't fit exactly. I'm gonna spend 8 hours painting this, not 8 hours building it. Okay. Huh. All right. So we need to weld this together a little bit more. So it still has some flexibility to it. Okay, you sit there. All right. Let's see what the problem is here. So some of these holes don't have. This isn't punched all the way through. So let's see if we can improve that a little bit. I don't know if that makes a difference, but if I use super glue for this, this would not work. This may end up being a session of how not to do this instead of how to do this. Hey, you guys are experiencing modeling's difficulties, trials, and tribulations along with me. Okay, so that's going to go like that. And then this is going to go across the top. Like so. We're going to go ahead and glue that into place. Now this is the part where maybe super glue is useful, but the one link fell off, no big deal. The other thing is that you kind of get out of the habit of grabbing things so limply. When you're doing miniatures, you have to grab the figure or it falls out of your hand. And then let's go over here. Oh shit, I'm gonna put stuff on left-handed. Wow, I'm better off being blind. If you have a choice, you wanna be blindfolded and do it, or put it with your left hand. Blindfold me, please. All right. And some people actually really prefer the separate link track. Back when it first came out, there was separate link track or there was rubber band. And I'm like, man, rubber band all the way. I don't have time for this. But now that I've fought with that rubber band, yeah, no. All right, now this is, well, that's softening and doing its happy thing. Now this may actually not go right into the gears. It's doing, it's okay. It's all right. All right, how are we looking on the distance here? Maybe spot on. That's one of those Britishisms that I've picked up. Those sayings that you guys say across the pond that I really, really like. Spot on and brilliant. Yeah, that'll work. Sayings from across the pond. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put some here. We're going to go ahead and put some here. We're going to go ahead and put some here. Yeah, I don't know how the hell you do this without weld cement. You don't have to use this brand. I used the Testers one for a long time, but now they've really chin-seated up. They give it to you in, well, I don't even know where it is right now, but I bought it as well. It comes in a container like this, but doesn't even, the brush it came with is like, if you're going to glue like a real tank together, that's how horrible it is. But I just ended up using a paintbrush. But this, that little brush that thing comes with is excellent. Yeah, it's this way. All right, we just need to tinker with this. Okay, and we come over here and get some better light here. It's not the light. No, I don't need to get better light. The light doesn't get any better than this. This aught light, it's just freaking superb. They're like $100. They used to be $100, like a standing light, and they're running a sale where they were 50% off. So we bought two, and if I could only keep one hobby thing that I use now, the light is the most important thing by far. I'll make things here and then I'll take them somewhere else and they just look like crap because the lighting is poor. Other than, you know, playing out in the direct sunlight, this is going to be the best. Okay, is there anything we can do about getting this in the running gear? Or it's just going to float out here? I could have just cut those teeth off and then it would fit flush. But I'm not so worried about it. We can gunk this up so that it looks like it's got mud in it, which, because it probably would anyways. Just you watch, folks. This is going to paint up and look beautiful. That's where my miracles happen. That's where my spells work, in the painting department. So, all right, and we got a little obstinate little bit here. But for the most part, it's pretty much done. And that wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't as easy as it could have been, but you gotta use this weld cement and keep moving from side to side. Now, this other side that I did last night, it's pretty solid, you know. And the nice thing is if say something's out of place here, I can put it on there and like reactivate it, so to speak, and then mess around with it. Like the front of this didn't actually look that. Actually, this is the back. I think the Russian tanks are pushers, like the British tanks are. The Germans are pullers, and I guess the Americans are pullers too. So the teeth are at the back. This wasn't as cleaned up as it was. It was kind of, it looked like, you know, you have a flexible part and then you have a part that's really hard and isn't. But you can reactivate it. But it's weird. Even it's not a very good quality kit. And what I mean by that is even cutting the pieces off and being careful. Look at some of these, the idler wheels across the top. They almost look like a mouse ate them. See, where's one? Here. That one right there in particular. But it happens, you know. I mean, I already had this thing. So we're going to set this off to the side. Look, even an idiot can do it. All right. Now, speaking of idiot, whoever designed this kit, a lot of this stuff on here has very few points to actually glue things on. Like, for instance, it tells you to put all these shovels and things like that. Yeah, put them here. Okay, well, where's the hole that they go in? There isn't one. So I'm going to have to take an actual drawing of this and make sure that I get it in the correct place. Okay, so we have B26, which is a little sight thing that goes here. So let's go ahead and put that on there. Let's put the separate link track off to the side because we're going to have to up armor some of this stuff. It's always fun. Ever since the last time I built models, I didn't have this vision issue, which is called, you know, being old and not being able to see things that are really close to you. So I take my contacts out. And that's how I'm building this. But it's really weird because I can't see anything 2 feet from my face. It's like, I know it's over here somewhere. Okay, this is this the B one? No, this is the C one. Where's B? I think this is B, even though it's not labeled. Let's find 26. This has been a really fun episode of Where's Waldo with this kit. Here it is. Here's a little vision port. All right. Again, if I use nips for this thing, it's freaking massive. The nips. There we go. Just take that little guy off. It doesn't weigh a thing. It's a tiny little bit. I'll take that off because it's very noticeable. Some things, if you leave them how they are, they're going to be noticeable with little imperfections. Okay, that's good. All right, where does she go? She has a little spot here. All right. So this end of the separate link track went a lot quicker than the first one. I was trying to figure it out. So, all right, let's put this over here because if I put it over the ground, then I lose it. Might be a while finding it. Let's move this to the spot that it goes. And you want to put this cement on both sides. I can't hear because this is so small, I've got nowhere to hold it. So what I do is I put it on one side. As soon as I get it into place. Get it into place. Make sure it's straight. Okay. All right. We have a light on here. Man, there's a lot of these parts that just don't have. Like, look at this. Here's an example. Okay, one of these is probably a horn, and one's a headlight, and I'll tell you which is which. See if I can do this correctly. We'll use The other thing I'm not used to is use this to scrape plastic, and because of static electricity, the plastic kind of sticks to this, and it doesn't happen with lead and white metal. All right. So you've got these two items that are here. Wow, it's backwards on my screen. So, whew. This is a headlight, B8, and B9 almost certainly is a horn. And like, yeah, just put them here. Okay. Well, first of all, there's only one hole for both of the items, or one little post. So we're going to skip that and we're going to find a real drawing and put it in the right place. So what are these things? A lot of this stuff is going to be in the same category. We got a hatch here. I already put the hatch in here before. And I don't think I have any Russian crew figures, but I'm going to make the hatches closed. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm playing a very short range skirmish type game for my World War II. And you're not going to need your hatches open at the distance that we're operating at. You're going to catch a grenade in there. So buttoned up is not a problem. And taking this little bit of flash off. And we're going to close all the hatches on here. As much as I'd like to paint a crew figure, now look, there's like no instructions on where this big old thing goes, because this is going to go right across the front here. Oh, actually, there is a plate here. Hey, look at that. I was wrong for once. Perfect. Yeah. So, anyhow, this is a rough, really basic thing. Yeah. Here's another panel here. Just put it over there. What? All right. So what else can we do? What do you got? Another 10 minutes or so before we wake her up? All right, let's put some fuel tanks together. We're going to need to get those on there. Where's my coffee? SU 152. No, guess again. ISU 122 152. So, similar vehicle, except it's on the JS hull instead of on the KV hull. That's the only difference. And we already got the barrel, right? Because it actually comes with 4 barrels. They have the early one that has the that has a 122 without the muzzle brake, then the 122 with a muzzle brake, then the 152 with the longitudinal dissipators on it, and then a 152 that I think was experimental with a muzzle brake. And that one's freaking massive. It's a big muzzle brake for the 152 experimental. So we're just going to use the earlier one. I don't like to game stuff in 1945 if I can avoid it. Things are too... I don't like late war stuff anyways, because I like things to be a little bit more balanced, you know. But that's just my preference. What's this, B6 and B7? B6 and B7, we can do that. B7's here, B6 is gone. It's here. Wow, that's amazing. That I'm missing a piece and it was right there. Because this thing just came and, I mean, I haven't messed with this in 20 years. I could have easily lost a piece. All right, let's go put this on here before we lose it. All right, and this one's gonna go like this. I've never used tweezers so much in my life. Where the hell does this go? It says just put it there. We're going to have to consult the drawing. I'm telling you, these instructions are piss poor. There's no holes or anything. It's totally smooth. I guess this would be handy if you wanted to use this hole for something else. You wouldn't have all these holes to fill in, but yeah, that's weird. Yeah, handles here. It doesn't say where to hook them on to. All right, we better put this in a safe place. We're going to move it back over here so it can't fall off the edge. Morning. SU-152 has a lower profile and superstructure than ISU series with lower headroom for the crew. Okay. Did they ever make an AP shell for the 152, or it was just a big 152 HE hitting them? I think it was just an HE shell. I think its first use was at Kursk, where it was, I believe its nickname was Zevboy or something like that. I forget. I haven't looked at that stuff in 25 years, but I believe it was used at Kursk to knock out the big cats. Well, knock out the tigers. The panthers seem to knock themselves out. They'd catch fire with their transmission issues and all kinds of stuff. Although I like the Panther Ds. I don't have any kits of those, but yeah, there's all these parts. None of them are marked on here. I'm gonna have to pull up on the internet like a side view and get them in the right place. I could throw them on there and it'll be close, but come on, that's a little too. That's a little too. Not the spirit we want to get into things. Let's put it that way. Okay, so this is going to get a B32 and a B33. The 33s are here and the 32s are there. God, these are rough. Okay, we're going to do one fuel tank at a time. How about that? It's going to get one of those. It's going to get one of these. And these fuel tanks are just extra fuel. It's not like they're connected by, it gets a 3 and a 4. Got it. Yeah, they've got a little opening there. It's one thing I forget. I get in this habit of forgetting what things are called. They have a little opening. Well, no shit, it's the opening. No, the little screw on top or what have you, that they can just take that and pour it into the regular fuel tank. It's not like they're connected. And it's diesel. The Russians use diesel fuel, I'm pretty sure, for everything. The Germans did not. The British and the Russians use diesel. The US and the Germans use regular gasoline, although I believe the Marine tanks use diesel because they could get it off the ships or something like that. Again, if I'm wrong, this is just stuff that I haven't looked at in 25 years, but I don't know what the hell the Italians used, but that's the major combatants and what they used. I'm excited about painting this T-34-85 to see how much better that's going to look than the damaged thing. I think it'll be just fine. It'll be fine so much that if I find the other one and it's painted, I don't remember if I painted the other one, the other T-34. I will. I don't mind using that stripper on it as well. All right. We're going to go ahead and assemble this, and then we'll clean up all the other stuff when it's together. So we have a B4 on top of a B3. So we got B3 here on the bottom. All right. Let's follow our own advice. And we got stuff to fill in gaps and stuff like this on these, because these are rather rough. Let's hold these guys together. Okay, and this is the front, and that's the rear. Got it. We may need to clean this up before we glue these on there. That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna assemble all these little tubes together before we do put the ends on them on there, because we're gonna have to clean them up while they're together. One, two. I guess there's two on each side. Uh-oh. Oh, it's 6:40. That's right. 6:40 when I have to wake her up. I don't know. You guys enjoy seeing this, or you're like, Tony, get back to painting. We don't like this modeling stuff. Well, it's not going to turn into a modeling channel. This is just because this is what we're doing right now. I think it helps. At least it helps me when I see something that maybe I'm interested in getting into, realizing how long the process takes. Because you're like, oh, I'll just put this model together in 30 minutes. No, no. No, if you want to get into building models, it's going to take a freaking long time. So I think you need to know how long the process takes before you get involved in something, so you don't have this illusion that it's going to be A and it ends up being B. That's one of the things that I get the most disillusioned about. When you go somewhere and say, for instance, you expect something to be really easy and then it's not. Especially when you expect something to be difficult and it is, and then it's easy. You're like, yes! We'll mark that one off as a win. I mentioned this before, that I've noticed some of my painting heroes. We all have painting heroes. People that we aspire to, modeling heroes, aspire to our stuff looking as good as theirs. And I've seen them do a couple things, and they take just as long as I do doing things. So it's not like there's some kind of miracle thing that somehow they can get it done in a lot quicker time than I can. No, some things just take forever. You know, you can't just, I can't just look at somebody painting something using spray paint and a dip method, and somehow their stuff is amazing and mine isn't, and I'm taking a lot longer. Now, their stuff's taken forever and has a million different coats as well, so. That's why I decided to do these vehicles at the same time that I was doing the 15s, because a lot of these steps take a long time to materialize. And if I'm just working on the vehicles, there might be like a wash that I give them or something like that, and I can't do anything with it until that dries. So because of that, I need to go on to something else. So it's real easy to just put that away and then just go to the 15s and do that meanwhile. Obviously, that does not apply to the building part. So we're going to build, and then we will paint these guys at the same time that we're doing the war wagons. But by doing both things at the same time, I don't feel like I'm guilty about not doing any of my World War II stuff and just doing the 15s, which I'm kind of tired of. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing them, but I've been doing 15s, nothing but 15s for 20 freaking years. So, and also, I don't feel bad about it, because it's not like I'm not doing 15s at all. I'm just working on the World War II stuff. So. And the more likely this conventions keep canceling and everything, the more likely I'm going to be to wanting to do World War II stuff as opposed to 15s, because I'm not going to be running any of this stuff at conventions. So, that I finished the Hungarians? No, I just have the 2 war wagons to do. Everything else is done. I can play them already in 2 different versions. I won't play them until everything's done for them. But didn't one version of Sherman use airplane engine? So maybe high octane. Didn't they all have a radial engine? I don't know. I'm not a Sherman expert. I'll be honest with you. I don't give a shit too much about what's on the outside of inside of the vehicle. I know it's important. It's just not important enough to me. I mean, God, I can't care about everything. I think you're right. I think you're right. It's some kind of I believe they may have all had radial engines. I don't know, which may be why their profile was so high. But I got Shermans to do next. And I'm doing kind of the stuff that Shermans are ugly tanks, in my opinion. That doesn't mean I won't do them, but they're going to be. I'm going to make them be individually, very individual. So we're going to do some different stuff on each one of them, but that's why I don't want to just forego the 15s and just do vehicles, because the next thing you know, the next 20 years, I'm just doing vehicles. Because just the kits I have, I've got probably 5 years worth of work with just the things I have already. So, aha, caught you. You sneaky bastard. That's something that doesn't happen with when I'm working on my other figures. Things flying out of your hand. Let's put some more of this stuff on here. But that sounds right about the engine. Radial engines make things really big. That's why the P-47 was such a huge monster aircraft. Had a big radial engine in there. And a lot of the thing is the scheme things were painted in. Like I think the Sherman tanks in North Africa, are the ones that the British had, like at LMA and stuff. I think they look better because they're able to do different paint schemes on them. They do that big the brown splotch on the. I think it looks better than just being all olive drab, like boring. But this isn't fantasy gaming. I'm not going to paint them, how they aren't. But I get to put nicknames on the American tank, so that's always good. We'll try to keep the nicknames period specific. Like I don't want a Sherman called Penis Wrinkle or something like that. I actually saw a set of decals recently. I was looking at decals, and it was for. I think it was for Australian M1s. We sold, I guess, some M1 tanks to Australia. It was either M1s or Challengers, but anyways, it was for modern stuff, the modern Challenger, not the World War II Challenger. For those of you that do not know, there is a World War II Challenger, and I believe it's a Cromwell or a Comet with a 17 pounder in it. They didn't make very many of them, but we're talking about the modern one, and I'm pretty sure it was Australian. And kind of like in the Desert War, they've got even the M1 tanks. They've got the names of the tank, the nicknames of them, and they'll be on the side of the tank. But it's not hand painted; it's almost like stenciled. So in other words, the names of all of them look the same in the same style font, so to speak. But this one in particular had it was a bunch of names that started with A, and this name of this tank was Armageddon. And I thought that was spectacular. That's a freaking great name for a tank. And of course, it's the English spelling of armor with a U, which, in my opinion, looks better. I like. As I've said before, I like English spellings, but American pronunciation. Oh man, let's cut these other guys off as well. You know, I mean, oh, let me not get ahead of myself. I'm gonna, yeah. See, there's those two pieces that go on the front. We're gonna have to consult. We're gonna have to consult them something to. We got the internet. We could find out anything on there. Well, we could. What do these go to? It's a different piece altogether. All right, this is. Go ahead and get these off. But for the Shermans, I've got a couple of just standard M4s from Armor Fast. Sorry, those will definitely need some TLC and stuff done to them because they're extremely basic. I have a M4A376 that's a dinky kit. It's not a kit. It's all cast. It's all die cast. And I've got a Forces of Valor cast hull M4A1 with a 75. So I'm going to build all those first. That's four. So that's three 75 millimeter gun arm Shermans and one 76. That's good. Although I'm pretty sure the 76 gun armed Sherman wasn't available in Normandy with M4A3. I think the only ones they had were M4A1s, but we'll see. You know, the stuff that I'm worried about and other people wouldn't even notice. So I take the opportunity to read a little bit about the vehicles. Just because you're gaming doesn't mean you can't learn something in the process. But the M4376 kit model, diecast model, does not have the HVSS suspension, so it may be able to be used a little earlier. And I'm probably just talking a bunch of jargon that many people don't understand, but that's okay. Don't forget the Chrysler multi-bank engine, if I remember correctly, 5 6-cylinder engines linked together, mainly supplied to the British. Germans known as Sherman's Tommy Cookers or Ronsons. They're gasoline fuel ignited explosives when hit by a tank fire. But that shouldn't be the case with British ones because they use diesel. And diesel's not as flammable. Maybe they still called them. Frey Bentos was a famous World War I tank. I think even World War II tank. For those who don't know, Frey Bentos is a brand often made in the UK, or maybe it is a World War I tank. Frey Bentos, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Oh, it's time to go wake up the daughter. I will be right back. Okay. The last memorable 15 minutes. We will see. I cannot guarantee I will not get back online tonight, but today. I'll tell you what, if I go back online and we're filming, we'll do painting, we'll paint some 15s. Doesn't mean if I work on any of this other stuff, I'll just to mix it up. But yeah, I'm excited about doing the Shermans because I'm excited about doing something that I think is kind of crappy and kind of make it not crappy. And I don't mean that from the standpoint that the Shermans weren't any good. I just mean that they're just kind of bland, as opposed to, doing the German tank. That's why I'm doing the German tanks last, and I mean, that's why the German tanks are so popular because they have a bunch of different models and different paint schemes and the division markings, and they have so many cool things that are on them. That's why they're popular. I think that's why they're popular. But we can leave that for other people, for the time being. Let's work on the not so exciting stuff. So, Sherman's reply to UK were gas fuel. U.S. Marines and Soviets had the diesel fuel models. Really? You sure that the UK didn't get the diesel modeled ones, like the M4A4s, which was the standard Sherman that the Commonwealth used, because the Canadians used that one as well. The M4A4 that the Commonwealth used in Northwest Europe. I believe those are diesel. I could be wrong, okay? But and this is just what I would have remembered from my 1/35th scale modeling days. Yeah, because the even numbered models, okay, the even number models were diesel. So, well, M4s were gas, uh, M4A1s were gas, M4A2s were what the Marines used. They were diesel. M4A3, odd number, was gasoline. M4A4, if I'm correct, I thought was diesel. M45, they have an M45. I think they started making M46, but that's the main ones. I have to pull out my Sherman book. I got that. I got that hidden somewhere. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. But so for the Brits, I have a Sherman Firefly. Yeah, because the Sherman Firefly was on two different hulls. It was on, I could be wrong. The later ones were on the M4A4, which is the one that I have with a 17 pounder. That's a kick-ass freaking gun. That is a kick-ass gun. But at these ranges we're going to be doing this stuff at, it's a lot of things are brutal. This is definitely under 500 yards type stuff. But I mentioned before, my British tanks will not have American stars on the roof. I think it looks ridiculous. Certainly not every one of them had it on there, and mine won't. I think they will forego that. I think it ruins the appearance. I think this division symbols on the British tanks are really, really cool. And putting that white star on the roof just ruins the appearance. Just like I'm not particularly interested in doing any Russian Shermans. I mean, yeah, they got quite a few of them, but they got a lot more of their own tanks. So, yeah, the Russians got all kinds of stuff. They got Churchills, Fireflies, Matildas, Shermans. What else main battle tanks did they get? Maybe everything, Lend-Lease. Their favorite one was, so I remember, was the Valentine. I don't know why. Low profile. That's the only advantage I could see. Okay. M4A5 is a multi-bank engine. Most Fireflies in museum are M4A5s with a longer hull. Okay. We'll have to do a Sherman. We'll have to do a Sherman video later. We'll worry about that stuff when we're doing Shermans. How about that? You know, I could have misremembered, and I've also could have. It's been 20 years, so there's some things that I supposedly learned which aren't necessarily true nowadays. I was in a discussion earlier about the 234-76, like this guy right here. It has a two-man turret, right? So I remembered, now I may have gotten it from the wrong source, the two-man turret, the commander has a shared role between either the gunner or the loader, and I thought it was the loader. And the reason why I thought that is because I thought it was very strange that he would be the loader and not the gunner. But apparently that's not correct. So I'm like, I've been on a crusade the last week to try to find out, okay, where did I get this from? 'Cause I didn't just pull it out of nowhere. I mean, because I remember it was odd when I found that out, but I can't seem to find it. So maybe I was wrong all along. Maybe I'm going senile at an early age. But anyhow, yeah, we got 10 minutes. What the hell could we do for 10 minutes? Well, we need these things to set a little bit more so we can grind on them and get them down to more. I mean, they are Russian oil drums, which probably not a sign of quality. That's probably not where they spent all of their effort on. So this is going to be the sub buildings of that. Yeah, like we've got this piece here. I don't know where it is, and it says just to throw it here on the side. Well, that's not going to work for me. Okay. Luckily, we have the internets, and we'll be able to straighten that out completely. But I'm really looking forward to painting this thing, or repainting this thing. I do have a before picture. I can't show it to you right now, but there is one. I was smart enough to take one of those so you can see a before and after, because it makes a difference when looking at some of these things, especially these BP cast things that look very, very. And I'm not done with these guys. I think I'm going to do a little bit more highlighting on like the edges to make the edges pop a little bit more. Just some minor stuff, and then we'll spray flat them and put them on stands. But that's not going to be my main focus this weekend. We're going to try to get these other vehicles painted up. I like how the weathering turned on that. So much so that some point in the future I can see doing some snow vehicles. And I think the way I'm going to do a snow vehicle is the way they'd probably do a real vehicle. You paint it green, and then you come in and you do a whitewash on it. And the bottom of it is probably going to be all really muddy all the way up until up and into here, like it just went through a freaking mess. Because most of the time with the snow, there's a lot of mud involved in it as well. So, but yeah, these actually did not come with an option of having the commander's position open. So that's that. And I got to find out where the other 234-85 is. We'll see. But that's a 3-man turret. But an 85 millimeter round at under 500 yards, yes. That's gonna be problems for just about everybody. So, but anywho, well, I got like 6 minutes left. I don't really want to start anything, so I think we're just gonna sign off. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You got to see something different. Let's check out this separate link track and see where we're on it. It should be pretty hard at this point. Yeah. I think it turned out pretty well. It's not a perfect thing, but um, but it should work out pretty well. And even though I wasn't able to stick it in as much as I would have liked to on this front, I think it'll be just fine. They are wargaming models, you know. So, but anyways, this was my encouragement video, just because you know, just stick with it. Things don't have to be perfect. Just keep going and don't be discouraged by running into issues. Yeah, here's the. It's not a very big vehicle. So I think it's 172nd. I don't think it's 172, but the JS2s aren't really big for a heavy tank. So anyhow, until next time, catch you guys later and enjoy your Saturday. See you, folks. Bye bye.